Hey, this video is for Vanessa Mythdust, who asked a question on one of my videos about getting stuck at rank 5 and 6. And I have some thoughts on that. Just from experience, 5 and 6, usually if you're going to stall out there, it's because you're not, well, there's a few things. I would say the most likely problem is that you're not getting artifacts on your goons. If you're not already up to the point where you can start getting artifacts, even the commons, which are these gray ones. You can see I've got some commons, I've got some rares. Anyway, you want to make sure that you've got artifacts on all of your goons, and you want to make sure, if you can, that you're putting the right artifacts on the right goons. And part of that is learning which goons have a specific role, like Outback, who is great for dealing damage. And so you see, I have him set up with mostly damage runes in 1, 3, and 4. And you can see I've got 2 different sets on him at the moment. I've got a broken set here. I need to get rid of this last rune to fix that set. But I've got him set. I'm looking for damage, and in particular, I'm looking for ways to increase his damage when I spawn him, which is what the ambush artifact is for. And then also each time he destroys a building, I've got the set that gives a bonus for that as well. So Outback has a specific purpose, damage, so I've got him spec for damage. Other guys like your tanks, you're going to want to spec them for health, obviously. Ape Capone, you can see I've got him spec with 3 health and 2 damage. And then there's the guys that can cross over, like Boomer is a good example. Boomer, you could spec him for health or damage. I spec mine for health, so he sticks around. I tend to use him to take out walls and things, so I want him to hang around for a while, and he costs 4, so he's at that kind of expense. I want him to stick around a little longer. But I know other players who like to spec him for damage. They'll put 3 damages on there and 2 health. And again, the set bonus is really important. I've got ambush on him as well, because when I drop Boomer out there, the ambush lets him throw a couple of grenades really, really fast. So if there is something really nasty out there, at least he does the job I need him to do right away. And I've also got this this sacrifice set on him as well. That's a set I like a lot. You probably don't have access to that at rank 5 or 6, or say level 6. But as you level up, you'll unlock new set bonuses in your artifacts. Anyhow, so the long story short is, make sure that you're farming for artifacts, and make sure you're putting the right artifacts on the right goons. Try to make sets if you can. And that would be my first recommendation if you're stalling out in your rank. Second recommendation is to make sure you're leveling up your goons. Now I've reached a point where I'm really pinched for gold at this point. So you can see I have a lot of guys. Jane is ready to level up, can't afford to do it. Zip Zap, ready to level up, can't afford to do it. I've got a lot of guys here that are ready to level, and I just can't afford it right now. I'm kind of saving up to get Charlie here to level 11. He's one of my favorite units, and I'd kind of like to level him up. But at the same time, I've got a lot of towers I want to level as well. So I've still got towers actually in my defense that I can't really spare the gold right now. I probably should go ahead and buy some gold in the store, but at the moment I'm still free to play. So so the second thing is make sure you're leveling up. You need to be getting chests as much as you can. That means do your PvP every day. Get your defense rewards every day. Get your mission safe every day. There's a ton of gold in the mission safe. It seems like it's between 500 and 600 every single day, so definitely get that, because you're going to need the gold to level up your goons. You may even need gold to buy dust. Let me see if I have any here. The shop takes a while to load. scroll all the way to the bottom, you can spend gold to get dust for leveling up those artifacts. I did mention that was critical. And then the third tip I would say is you're going to reach a point in PvP where typically in PvP you start looking for the places where you can sweet spot certain buildings. By that I mean you're going to try to find a place where Outback can get a shot at a building and he's not standing in any pain fields, or you've got you can get it down to one tower shooting at your tank and you get Outback behind them to deal your damage. But sometimes you just can't do that, and so you have to get yourself in the mindset that sometimes you just have to trade goons for damage. So for example, if I was to come over here, this is my town I'm looking at. I don't really want to launch a PvP right now. If I was coming in on this hover cannon, I might just have to send Janes at it until it dies. So the hover cannon is shooting away at me and the Jane is shooting back at the hover cannon. Sometimes you'll find hover cannons that aren't protected with rockets. In fact, that's a really common defense to see hover cannons. And I'll actually trade airbot into hover cannon. My airbot really should be spec'd for damage at the moment. I don't think he is. He's probably spec'd for health. Yeah, he's spec'd for health at the moment, but I probably should trade him out and spec him for damage. And when I say trade it out, I mean I build up 10 goo and I send 5 airbots into the hover cannon. And of course the hover cannon takes out an airbot every time he shoots, but you have to get yourself in the mindset of spending that goo just to take out that tower. So a lot of people tend to lock their minds into the mindset that if you're losing goons, you're losing the match, and that's not necessarily always the case. Sometimes you just have to be willing to spawn goons and see them die to get the job done. Boomer is another great example. Boomer, you save up 10 goo, you spawn 2 boomers, you wait a couple seconds, you spawn a 3rd boomer. Now you've got 3 boomers just piling in on a particular tower to do the job. Now there's other goons that you do that with and you don't think about it. Transblam is a great example. Transblam, you know that you're spending that 5 goo. Transblam is going to zoom in there and deal his damage, and then he's gone. So it's kind of weird to see people willing to spend goo on Transblam or even Bombot. It was even more explicitly designed to be sacrificed, but they won't do the same thing. And Outback is probably the one that I forget about the most often. Outback can actually shoot a hover cannon over a wall. Because the hover cannon flies, I guess Outback can see it over the wall. But because Outback is such long range, and he typically is my DPS, I don't usually think about trading Outbacks. But there's some PvP you just can't win unless you're willing to do that. So I'll save up 10 goo, and then maybe send 1 Bombot out there to draw the first shot off the tower, and then I'll follow up. I'll spend 9 goo to spawn 3 Outbacks, and I'll just keep pouring Outback into that one tower until I take it out. So that would be my third tip: is be ready to trade goons, because once there's enough towers on the map, it gets really, really hard to sweet spot, to find anywhere that you can get in and safely approach without losing some goons. So just get yourself in the mindset of that. And then the last tip is the one I'm... Oh, thank you. The last tip is the one I'm the worst about, and that is getting locked into 4 favorite goons and then just beating your head against a wall and losing with those 4 instead of looking around and trying something different. I was, over this past week, I was in Diamond and close to making it to Gutonium, and I had a really bad week. I'm way down here now. I lost a lot of matches. When I was winning them, because I'm in rank 10, when I win a match, I don't tend to get very many trophies for it, and when I lose, it's really painful. And I sort of figured out late that I'm just locked into trying the same 4 guys over and over again, and it's not working. Even though I'll see the same defense multiple times, I'm having a hard time breaking myself out of trying the same 4 goons. I tend to run Bombot, Outback, Doc, and Liz. and then occasionally I'll swap out somebody for Charlie instead, or swap out Bombot for Airbot or something like that. But for the most part, I'm locked into the same 4 guys over and over, and it's not working anymore. And so eventually you have to think maybe there's someone else who can do the job. I saw a defense a while back that had some mortars in it, and it was mortars and a Stunflower, and I couldn't beat that map no matter what I was trying. And I tried Zip Zap, and I was able to teleport Zip Zap in next to the mortar between the bursts from the Stunflower, and teleport out again before the Stunflower killed them all again. And Zip Zap he's a great unit that I use on all of the the regular game maps, but I don't use him in PvP very often. But he enabled me to actually go back in and beat that map. And so again, every goon has its own particular use, and if you do get stuck in a particular rank, maybe think about changing the goons that you're using. So just to recap, my advice would be level up your goons, get the artifacts on them, get the right artifacts on them, try to complete your sets, level up your artifacts, be prepared to trade goons to do a job, so don't be afraid to spend the goo to take a tower out. And the last tip would be just to make sure that you're willing to try guys that you haven't tried before. And there's usually some balance going on in the meta all the time. So I've seen Jammer used against my town really well, and you can see I don't have very good runes on Jammer at all. I really have neglected Jammer for a long time, and I think that Jammer may let me beat some towns that I'm currently having trouble with. And she's just been sitting around for so long I haven't used her. It's probably time for me to work on getting runes on her and give that a shot. Anyway, this ran a lot longer than I thought it would, but I hope that helps you out.